I was walking with somebody today back from shul, and he said a certain line that really resonated with me a lot, and I'd like to open up with that idea. As we're walking, he said, this is the most important fast of our lives. It's like, wow. Because if you think about it, it's just so true. I will tell you, this is, I think, the most important fast of our life. And reason being that the thought we're going to have tonight, Bezrat Hashem, is going to speak towards the idea of what it is that we're missing. And if there's ever a time, in our generation at least, that we ever felt that we're not okay, that we ever felt that things aren't good, and we ever felt that we have to make things better, and that the status quo is not something we want to continue with, and to show that, to really express that feeling, that is going to be with this fast. So with the fast that we're going to be having, it's a fast in which, we're going to be hungry, we're going to have a headache, it's going to be very uncomfortable, this is true, but it's going to be a fast where at least we feel the urgency and the importance for it. We feel how important it is that a person actually has to do their part and sit and fast. So I'm going to be learning with you tonight a piece from the Netivot Yashar. This was a Rebbe who lived in Williamsburg, a very, very brilliant Rebbe, and he had a piece over here on Tishah Beav, and this one really, really spoke to me a lot, really affected me a lot. For the next few minutes, we're going to go through what he had to tell us. So we know that the rabbis set up Tishah B'Av. Tishah B'Av is a time of Evel before Bet Mikdash. And to be happy, I'm kind of happy. To be honest, I'm kind of happy that we get it, at least for myself and some other people didn't get a chance to read Eicha yet, because it's only after I think we get ourselves into the right place, we get ourselves into the right feeling, that Eicha is going to have so much more of a value. That Eicha itself will resonate so much stronger with us. What is the sadness exactly of this day? What is the sadness of Tishah B'Av? So, it's something that happened so many years ago, almost 2,000 years ago now, of the Batei Mikdash, the first and second being destroyed on this day. The Gemara tells us it actually happened the way it is this year. It happened on Motzei Shabbat. That the destruction, that the burning of the Beit Mikdash began right now. But it's something that's just so long ago. The Rambam tells us that any of the fasts are there to really be Ma'oreh Teshuvah. It's there to really waken us to want to do a returning to Hashem, to want to have a kind of a commitment of growth towards Hashem. But Tishah B'Av is not just that. If Tishah B'Av was only just awakening towards Teshuvah, so then Tishah B'Av wouldn't need to be anything more strict than regular fasts. It would not have to be from the night before. It would not have to be with not wearing shoes and not being able to anoint ourselves, bathing, etc., etc. Because regular fast, the Rambam tells us, a regular fast is alone to be Ma'oreh Teshuvah. A regular fast is enough to really awaken us for Teshuvah. So, if the Chachamim went and added on to Tishah B'Av to say, no, there's more. There's something more that needs to be done. So then what is that? For the women over there who are standing, Rabbi Lanyano asked Halacha if the women can sit on regular chairs, if there's enough, and they were told that they could. So the Halacha over here to be able to be more comfortable to watch it is okay. If you want to sit down on a regular chair, so what is the greater Avelut inside Tishah B'Av? What is this greater missing that we're having here? So, if we forget Yerushalayim, tishkach yemini, then let my right hand be forgotten. What does that mean, let my right hand be forgotten? It means that all of my talent, everything that I put into this world, if I should forget Yerushalayim for even a minute, then my whole drive, my whole purpose of what I do in this world, it's not as important If I should forget Yerushalayim, then forget my whole existence of everything that I'm accomplishing. Meaning, if I'm lacking Yerushalayim, so then I'm lacking my yamini, I'm lacking everything that my talents in life is bringing me towards. Tidbak leshoni lechiki, allow my tongue to be stuck within my mouth. If I don't remember, if on the greatest parts of my simcha, of my life, if when I'm in my highest state of joy, if the destruction of Yerushalayim doesn't trump that joy, it doesn't overcome that joy, if I'm feeling joyous, and that joy should somehow outdo my remembrance to Yerushalayim, if that should happen, so then David HaMelech is telling us in Tehillim, it's just not worth it. It can't be. He says that there's no reality, it's not possible that a Jew could possibly have anything that can completely eradicate from his mind the zecher of Yerushalayim, to the point that when it comes to a simcha, we know by a wedding, so we break the glass. The breaking the glass itself has just become somewhat of a symbol, like we're waiting for the glass to break so that we can forget that the glass was broken, so that we can go and dance with Chatan and Kala. Now, of course, the simcha of Chatan and Kala is beautiful, but the reality of this pasuk is saying that the reason why we broke that glass is because every single time you're about to have a joyous moment in Galut, you're supposed to stop and say, however, my totality of life is wrecked. My entire existence isn't full. I can't feel this completely because I don't have Yerushalayim. That's what this pasuk is saying to us. If we don't think about Yerushalayim, then that's it. Then everything now is just completely not. It can't be. ובכל מצב שמביא את האדם לידי שמחה, צריכים אנו להעלות את ההרגש של ירושלים, שיגבר, זה דאף איברבקסן, as he says in Yiddish. You have to grow, על ראש שמחתי, שההרגש של אבלות ירושלים גדולה מהרגש השמחה, that the feeling of the loss of Yerushalayim should be a greater feeling than your hergesh, than your feeling right then of simcha. That's what you have to feel. And I don't know how anybody else here is taking it. Baruch Hashem, I had the zechut to live in Eretz Yisrael for 13, 14 years. And so over there, I every single year, I really do miss it. But even that, all I'm missing is the forgotten Yerushalayim. All I'm missing is the Yerushalayim that isn't. Yerushalayim that is only a pale shadow of what the real Yerushalayim was. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, at least I can feel sad over the Yerushalayim that we have now. But I'm even thinking to compare the Yerushalayim that I'm missing to the real Yerushalayim, and in that I should have another crying itself. So it's one of the Ikarei Emunah that Hashem is going to bring Mashiach, but until then, we are mit'avel on Yerushalayim. How do we get there, Rabbi? For real, for real, for real. What state of mind do we have ourselves in that we can actually bring ourselves to a real feeling of missing it? To a real feeling of, even at the height of our greatest simcha, even there, Yerushalayim, I'm devastated I don't have Yerushalayim. Guys, I don't want this to be lip service. I'm going to say a few stories. I imagine it's going to, but I didn't want this to be a night of stories either. I wanted this to be a night of real avodah. I wanted this to be a night of real work that we can really have that built into ourselves. So, if we look into our outlook of life itself, if we look into our she'ifut, our goals, the purpose of life and how we look at it is that, a person lives inside this world, and we want to just, live in Olam Haza, a normal life, and there's nothing wrong with that. Bevadai, he says, שגם צריכים לקיים תורה ומצוות, אבל עיקר חיי העולם הזה הוא החיים הגשמיים הגופניים, שיהיה לו בריאות, שיהיה לו פרנסה טובה, שיהיה לו בית ומשפחה, שיהיה לו הכל כשורה, ושלא ידע מצער ולא יחסר לו מאומה. The Rebbe writes over here that the regular way of life that we're all brought up in, the regular way of life that we all look at, is I want to be able to have a family. I want to be able to have a home. I want to be able to provide for my family. I want to be able, but of course my family needs to have health, all these different things. Yeah, I want this all to happen. I want this all to be real. And obviously I have Torah. Obviously I have a house full of mitzvot. Obviously I have a house that's dedicated towards the connection to Hashem. And to be honest, this is the outlook that we have. But this is an outlook that is the victim of thousands of years of galut. This is an outlook that we've all put into ourselves, and nobody's to blame. This is not a night of Musar. This is not a night of point. No. I'm just saying what the reality is. The reality is, after living years and years of exile, we want to make sure that we're taken care of. We want to make sure that we have comfort. We want to make sure that we have a home. We want to make sure that we have parnasah. We want to make sure that life is something that we're able to enjoy and to live. And of course, we're going to do it inside a Torah fashion. Of course, we're going to do it in a way that's going to connect to Hashem in any way possible. But what is Tachlit HaBriyah? What is the purpose of Hashem creating this world? Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Pirush Rashi, Bishvil Yisrael shenikru Reshit. Ha'olam shabara Hashem yitbarach avor b'nei Yisrael. Yesh lo tzura acheret ligamre. Rabotai, the world that Hashem created, Yesh lo tzura acheret ligamre. The world that Hashem created has a different surah. The world that Hashem created has a completely different form, has a completely different reality, has a completely different take, much different than what our outlook is in our everyday existence. The surah that Hashem created the world with, we got a little look of it inside the Torah. Meaning even within the Torah, we don't have so much of a look of it. But we got a glimpse. When the Jews were living in the Midbar, we got a glimpse of what Hashem wanted the world to look like. Hashrat Hashchina, Asumi Mikdash V'Shachati B'Tocham, that Hashem made this deal with us that He said, make me a Mikdash and I'm going to live with you. And Hashem said, Bereshit bara Elokim b'shvil Yisrael. I created it for Yisrael, Shenikru Reshit, that they are called the Reshit Goyim. They are the ones, the purpose of why I made this world. And what is the purpose of that? That Hashem lived with the Jews inside the Midbar, that Hashem had the Beit HaMikdash with us, and that we lived with Nisim. And then when we went to Eretz Yisrael, we only had a certain amount of time, but we got to see what it was like. The Nisim glue in. Let's just for a moment, guys, let's just think, what was it like? What was it like to live in Eretz Yisrael with the correct hashkafa? What was it like to live when Eretz Yisrael had the pure, beautiful outlook of being with our Abba in Shemayim? What did it look like with us being there? So we know that the map of Eretz Yisrael is tiny. It's tiny. It was made like that on purpose. It's made tiny because the Gemara in Gittin tells us that when everybody comes back, Eretz Yisrael b'meherad should happen right now. We were the first shul to daven our feet. We should be the first one that Mashiach comes for. That's it. He should come. Rabbi Linyan is going to stop Mashiach, saying, "No, he's not done the speech yet. Wait until afterwards." And when Mashiach comes and he brings us all back to Eretz Yisrael, so it says, the Gemara in Gittin tells us that it's going to, the land of Israel is going to stretch. And if I love this mashal the Gemara gives. The Gemara says it's like a deer. A deer, if somebody were to catch a deer or to find a deer and it was dead, so they want to skin the deer. If you take off the skin from the deer, the skin will shrink. I don't know. I'm going to take the Gemara's word for it. It's not like I've been skinning deer for a living, but apparently you skin it and it's going to shrink. And then you look at the carcass of the deer, and then you look at the skin, and you say to yourself, it's impossible. It's just, how did this thing? But you know that skin was on, that you just saw it over there. The Gemara says it's the same exact thing. You're going to look at Eretz Yisrael, and you're going to say, how in the world will millions of Jews be able to come back and live comfortably inside this place, everybody to pack into it, and don't worry, the Nisim are going to come through, and it's going to stretch the land. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that Israel is going to take over Egypt on the bottom, and take over Lebanon on top, and Jordan. No, that's not what it means. It means literally, it's going to stretch, it's going to push all the other parts of the continent further and further and further and further out. Out to this plenty of ocean, don't worry. It's going to keep on pushing it, and the land of Israel, it's just going to keep on just growing, and just keep on growing, and we're going to see this happening. And you think it's not possible. Will you imagine for a moment, imagine being in the Azara, being inside the courtyard by the time of Yom Kippur, where all the Yidden, imagine this room is packed with people, and everybody's just like all together, like on Yom Kippur, like the way a room is packed. And then when they heard the name, the Shema Mefurash, Yotzim Epi Kohen Agadol, B'Kedusha U'Tahara, when they heard the name of Hashem come out of the mouth of Kohen Gadol, what happened? Everybody, Korim and Mushtachavim, all of a sudden the Azara, it just went and it stretched everywhere. And all of a sudden everybody had all this space to be able to go down and to have that. It's an incredible thing, but that's not where it ended. They would look around, there were no flies anywhere around, anywhere by the Beit HaMikdash, by the Karbanot, anything, because meat didn't rot, because it just remained fresh the entire time. After the fire that came down from Shemayim to show you that you're forgiven, and it took your Karban back up, you got to see that. And just in case you think you weren't forgiven, when it came to Yom Kippur, all the way at the end, they took the red string and they tied it on top of the Beit HaMikdash, and everybody saw it turn from red to white magically. And then it must have been a moment where everybody got to see it turn white, and everybody just started jumping. And everybody started jumping up and down inside the Beit HaMikdash, just singing different songs. It must have been something incredible. They saw open miracles. When the Yidden went up to be Ola Regel, think about it. This is how the Rebbe put it. That's such an amazing imagination. But when all the Jews went to be Ola Regel, so everybody went to Yerushalayim. Everybody went to the Beit HaMikdash. Who did they leave at home? The people who couldn't get there, they weren't well. Maybe some little children. Some of the wives stayed, some of the wives went. You have all those surrounding countries who all knew that the Yidden are all going up there. Why did they attack? There's no soldiers, there's nobody. Everybody has to be Ola Regel, every single man. They have to go up there. Why wouldn't it 3 times a year? Why wouldn't they come and Hashem just stopped it? Oh, Hashem just didn't allow it. They were living with these miracles that we can't possibly imagine. Their entire life at the time of the Beit HaMikdash literally revolved around the avodah of the Kohanim and the Sharat HaShekhinah, and how the Shekhinah went and just literally were with them. Today, when a person has to go and collect money, so it's an embarrassing thing. Today, you got to knock on doors, you have to call people, you have to make fundraisers, and you have to do all these different things, and it's difficult to go and to man. Ashreichem Yisrael gives so much money. It's not, but the point is that the one who wants to do the fundraising, and it feels like, back then, they were knocking down the doors, begging the Kohen and the Leviim, take our terumah, take our money, please, can you be? And there were lines waiting outside their door because they understood that their entire existence was to connect to Hashem. Their entire existence was Hashrat HaShekhinah. That was their outlook. They didn't care about their homes as much. They didn't care about their health as much. They didn't care about their parnassah as much. All these different things, all of it is taken care of. All of it is going to fall in line. As long as I run, I give my terumah, I connect to the Kohen, and I connect to Hashem, I bring my korban, I go up to the Beit HaMikdash, I daven, I see the fire come down. I know that I'm taking my entire drive is the Beit HaMikdash, is Hashem. That's everything I got. I take my kids, I take everything else. No, forget the house, forget all that. Yeah, leave the car unlocked. I don't know, let's go. And you just go running. That's what their whole existence was. They ate a tiny bit and they were satisfied. They took a little bit of a korban and that was it. It felt like they had an all-you-can-eat by a restaurant. A little bit. They ate a little bit of whatever it was, bread or whatever it was that they had, and they felt completely satisfied. Today we would think that was a curse. Today that would be terrible. It's just like 1 second. If I just eat this little thing, but I want to order more food. I want to have other stuff. back then, their entire existence was something where it wasn't anything connected to physical. They're like, look, let me just eat so I can just fill up my belly and I can move on in life. So I can keep on going with my Ashrat HaShekhinah. Today, what is our outlook? Today, our entire outlook is one that's completely different. Even after Adam was sent out of Gan Eden, Hashem still had hope. Hashem said, there's still a Bet HaMikdash. I still have the ability to give them the purpose of why I created this world, in order to connect to Hashem. But by the way, in order to connect to Hashem, in case you're thinking that doesn't sound so great, the whole concept of in order to connect to Hashem is an idea of Hashem giving us ta'anug, is a concept of Hashem giving us more and more joy. And then, and then, when the Yidden sinned, everything changed. The whole purpose of existence changed. Everything that was supposed to be is now the opposite. לכן, אם אשכחך ירושלים תשכח ימיני, האדם חי לו בעולם הזה ושוקע בחיים הגשמיים. Now, our entire outlook of life is completely backwards. Our entire want, our entire drive is something where we say, look, I need to have a place to live. It's got to be comfortable. I got to have my kids comfortable, and we have to be healthy. And those aren't bad things. I'm not saying that those are bad things. Those are great things. But those are things that unfortunately are the most important inside our life, and that is where the destruction of Bet HaMikdash comes, because you're forgetting Yerushalayim, you're forgetting your whole purpose, you're forgetting the whole reason why Hashem made this world. Al yedei churban Bet HaMikdash necharav olam hazeh, v'nishar rak olam ha'mahalech ha'chaim shlomot olam. Don't you get it? When the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, olam hazeh was destroyed. That's what we're crying about. We always refer to Olam Hazeh as this bad place. Too much Olam Hazeh. Too much, you're living your life Olam Hazeh. They used to be the greatest thing ever. When Olam Hazeh had its correct translation, when Olam Hazeh was clear to us, when Olam Hazeh was the world you get to connect to Hashem in. That's what Olam Hazeh was. Woo! I mean, the way that Derech Hashem, the way that Mesilei Sharim speaks about Olam Hazeh, it's the Pruzer for Olam Haba. It's the time to earn it. Everyone should be thrilled with Olam Hazeh. It should be the best place ever. It should be a party all the time. I did another mitzvah. I was able to go run more, to get connected more. I was able to have more of that. If your whole outlook was that, that's why Hashem created the world for, that outlook. And the reason why we're sitting on the floor tonight is we all lost it. We all lost that outlook. We don't have it anymore. From the moment the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, we couldn't have it, because we have no idea what it looks like. And that's what we're so terribly sad about. We lost out on Olam Hazeh. It's not the same. It's not real. We're living an entire life that's not real, and the last thing that gave us a reality check in what's true and what's real, that was the Beit HaMikdash, and what Hashem wanted for this world. That's what it was, and we lost it. We're blind. I'm looking for a place to move now. Me, I'm doing it myself. Baruch Hashem, my landlord, doing some construction. I'm so shakua into this world. And look at today. This place, not this place on the block. This place. Where should I? How many bedrooms? Is it having a ride? And you turn into such an animal of physicality. It's terrible. It's terrible. What kind of a car? I don't know. Maybe I should say that because it did it in the leather on the inside. All these things. We're so shakua. That's what everything that we're all guilty of this. And we're not to blame. We're guilty, but we're not to blame. We're guilty of it, but you can't blame us. Hashem, it's been 2,000 years. What do you expect? We're shakua in the worst place of the world. What do you expect? And so therefore we sit, and there's one time of the year, once a year, that we can sit down on the floor and say, I don't need any of this. I don't need a chair. I don't need a house. I don't need comfort. I don't need a shower. I don't need food. All I need is a clear outlook. All I need is to gain back a bit of an ayin tova, a bit of clarity of where my life is supposed to really be going. This is what I need. You know, the Rebbes would say, who was I? I just saw this recently by Rabbi Biederman. It was the Chassam Sofer who said, I would call Tishah Beav a Moed. Even now, not just even now. I would call it a Moed. He said, first of all, because we survived. We talk about how we were destroyed, but we survived. Meaning, like, we see what destruction was and how we miraculously survived. But to go a step further, you call it a Moed because it's the one day a year we're forced to sit and see clearly what is truly for real. Without remembering Yerushalayim, if we wouldn't have a day to remember, look, people are just like, Rabbi, can I sit on a chair? Rabbi, everybody's looking for a way to break a fast. Everybody's looking for, stop. If we didn't have a day, at least once, what would we look like? We would look like, unfortunately, the Yidden who aren't sitting on the floor tonight. We would look like our wonderful, dear brothers and sisters who are having a Saturday night tonight, who are reaching the Rosh Simchati and thinking that that is a totality of existence. If we wouldn't have just Imesh Gachech Yerushalayim now to put it into our hearts and to say, this is real, this is what life truly is. I can't forget you, Yerushalayim. It's the remembrance, and that's what David HaMelech says. If you forgot Yerushalayim, Tishkach Yemini. You're done. All of your efforts, cool, what's it? Yemini means your talents, your efforts, everything that you do, the Yamin, the hand that has all of the craftsmanship, all of your talents, your expression of you. If you forgot Yerushalayim, you will never be able to express the real you. So then, your lashon as a midaber. We know the 4 levels as a midaber, as being a human, as being somebody who's able to express. Basically, David Melech saying, like, shut up if you don't have Yerushalayim. What are you expressing? David Melech said, I can guarantee you what you're expressing is garbage. Because you're not doing it with the remembrance of Yerushalayim. You don't have the right she'ifot. You don't have the right outlook. So all of the words coming out of your mouth are words that you've borrowed from 2,000 years of galut. Words that you've taken from the scraps thrown to you by the goyim from every single continent that we've been welcomed and then chased out of. That's all you're saying. And all of your talents are only expressing what it is that the goyim have given you over all these centuries. That's not you. That's not the tachlit. So if you forget Jerusalem, tishkach yamini. Stop expressing. Both with your talents and with your lips, stop expressing. All you're expressing is the garbage that's been funneled into your brain over 2,000 years. It's not the purpose of life itself. It shouldn't be your she'ifut. You're just being a simple guy. What's wrong with a simple guy? Our she'ifut or our outlook's any different? A simple guy also just wants to have a nice house. Maybe not in Beverlywood. He knows he can't afford it. But, but all he wants to have a nice house. He just wants his children to also grow up healthy. He wants to give them the right outlook in life and be decent people. What makes us any different in our she'ifut, in our outlook? And the answer is, Im eshkafech Yerushalayim. The answer is because your entire she'ifut is one where we have to remember that there's a Hashem, and that's the purpose. We don't look at the world with the correct, purposeful way. So, after Adam sinned, he was chased out of Gan Eden. He had a choice, and he chose wrong. And after we sinned in the Bet HaMikdash, we got chased out over there. We had choices, and we chose wrong. So therefore, the Nevi'im set up a day to be mit'abel on Yerushalayim, and to understand that all of the tzarot and all of history started out from the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. And we can understand now why all of history, all of the terrible things, all the things we read inside the keynote, everything that happened, it's because from that one day where we destroyed our entire outlook, and that's what we're sad about. How do we gain it back? How do we gain back the correct outlook? Now's the time to talk about that. How do we gain that back? it back is there's a concept of ayin tova that we have to discuss for a few minutes, and then we'll read it. Rabbi Biederman said there was once a husband and a wife who they were living in Eretz Israel, and they saw that by their neighbor, so in Israel they hang up their laundry. So by the neighbor, it was a single guy who was their neighbor, and when the guy was hanging up his laundry, she saw that the laundry was just all dirty. After the guy washed it, the laundry was all dirty. So the wife said to her husband, do a taiva, go over to that guy, teach him how to use detergent. The guy just doesn't know how to, teach him how to do it. You get a mitzvah, you help the guy. He'll look more nefbad, maybe it'll help him. And the husband said, just give it a day or two. Something, maybe it was just a bad load of laundry. Sure enough, 2 days later into the week, she looks outside and again, it's just dirty. She's like, go over there, help the guy. He's like, no, just give it. It comes right before Shabbos, the guy's like, and the wife looks outside and she sees that all of the clothing is clean, everything is nice. She calls over her husband, she says to him, you see, somebody else did the mitzvah, somebody else went and taught him that. You missed a minute, you could have went and taught the guy. And the husband said to his wife, dear, I don't want to say anything because he said, but it's not the clothing that got clean. You finally cleaned the windows. The windows were dirty. I just don't want to say anything, but the windows were dirty the whole way. Now that you cleaned the windows, you can see that actually was hanging up clean laundry the whole time. I will tell you, a lot of times our windows are dirty. A lot of times the way that we look at things is just with such an ayin ra. And that really what's going on in the world is actually a lot different than what you're seeing, but the perception that we have, those dirty windows, the way that we're looking at it is something so terrible. And I think that the reason why we talk about Ben Adam L'Chavero is what's bringing back Mashiach is because you have to change your entire outlook in life if you have proper Ben Adam L'Chavero in Maladaber. The only way you're going to have proper Ben Adam L'Chavero, it's so hard to not speak Lashon Hara. It's so hard to not be angry. It's so hard not to be negative. All of those things are just an outpour from a negative perception. You wouldn't have Lashon Hara to speak if you didn't have that negative perception, if you'd see things positive. You wouldn't have that negative look if the way that you looked at it initially was with positivity. And Hashem is trying to explain to us the only way, and please open up your minds now for this, the only way for Mashiach to come is to give us a life of correct perception. And the only way we're going to earn that life of correct perception is if we begin on our own to have the correct perception again. To not be the victim of 2,000 years of Galut, rather to have a clear perception all over again. Rabbi Biederman there was a Rosh Kollel. He went collecting. This Rosh Kollel was in Israel. He went collecting in America. And he came to a certain well-known family in America. And they had one of their children, one of their sons, he was in his 40s, and unfortunately, he had lost vision in his right eye. And the guy lost his vision already. He was blind in one eye for 10 years. And then all of a sudden, after 10 years, the vision in his left eye started slowly but surely getting dimmer and dimmer and going. Until, it was around before Purim time, he lost about 80% of his ability to see out of that left eye. And all the doctors said, look, you got to do surgery to save the eye, see what we can do. They do a surgery, and it comes out that the surgery unfortunately made things even worse. And the guy literally can only see shadows now. The family decided that they're going to accept on themselves 3 times a day to do an ayin tovah. 3 times a day, each person in the family is going to look at the world with ayin tovah. And they said, ayin tachat ayin. They said to Hashem, if we have an ayin tovah, you should give us an eye back. What does it mean? It means that when their neighbor was doing construction and building a nicer house, they would look and say, Baruch Hashem, my neighbor has the ability, Hashem gave them the ability to, that's beautiful. When their friend got engaged and they didn't, they looked and they said, I'm so happy for my friend who got engaged. I'm thrilled for her. She's going to build up by his Nema B'Yisrael. Baruch Hashem, Hashem gave her that ability to have that. when somebody else's son was doing well in school while their own children weren't doing well in school, they would look and they would say, I'm so happy that their children are doing well in school. We're going to have a very big test. LA just put the mask mandate back into place. It was like in an hour or something, supposed to go back into place and all that. Right? We're all going to have a very big challenge. I'm telling this right now because everybody has their decisions already about mask, no mask. We all have that. And God bless your soul, whatever you do. Fantastic. But you're going to have a challenge of ayin tovah or not, from both sides of the plate. If you're not a mask wearer, even after the mandate, you're going to look at every person who wears a mask in the shul and think, what are you doing? The guy's such an earner. And if you are a mask wearer and you look at people who aren't wearing masks, and you think to yourself, wow, that guy, he's a poshez, he's going to kill the whole world. Ayin tovah, and ayin tovah means that Baruch Hashem, that person chose what they chose, and God bless their heart. And God give them till Mea Vesrim Shana. In health and in happiness, let them just be. Let them be. Let them build a bigger house. Let them get a new car. Baruch Hashem, they can afford it. Let their children make some noise. You should let it be an ayin tovah. Ayin tovah is doing the greatest change of your entire outlook on everything in life. P.S. with the story at the end, a month later, by Pesach, his sight started to come back in his left eye. A month later, it got back to full sight. And the crazy part of the story is, his right eye that he could not see out of for 10 years, the sight came back to that eye as well. A true story. Hashem paid back kefel keflaim, double of what it is that they had said. You have to have an ayin ra. You want it back? Do you want back your ayin? Do you want back your sheifot, your outlook? One bad word to somebody because you're seeing things in a negative way. I'm just going to say this. I don't. My wife and I, somebody gave us a gift certificate to eat in one of the more expensive restaurants here in Los Angeles. I was giving a shiur by their house for a while. They were very thankful. So for Hanukkah time, whatever it was, they came and they gave us a gift certificate for a good amount of money to eat in that restaurant. We were so happy. Never ate in that restaurant before. It's an expensive place. So we got dressed up. It would be cold. We made a thing. We went to sit there. We're sitting there at the restaurant, having a great time. And somebody from the community here comes walking up to me. He looks at us and he says, wow, I didn't know a rabbi gets to eat in this restaurant. He made us feel so bad on so many levels. Now, he was saying it as a joke. I don't know. I'm not as well, but that's an ayin ra. It's like, why'd you have to go there? Why'd you have to pull out the rug from underneath the holy? And like an idiot, there I was apologizing. I'm like, no, you have to understand. Somebody gave me a gift certificate to be able to. And after my wife was like, why do you have to? You have to explain yourself. Are you kidding me? Guys, we all have it. I'm not blaming the guy because I'm just as negative on other things. Ayin ra, we all have that. We all have this negativity. And if we can only change our she'ifot, if we can only change a she'ifah means like a will to want, to grow, to become greater. And it starts by changing your outlook. It starts by being an ayin tov for everything possible. Saying that negative thing, giving that ayin ra, giving that negativity that comes from us, it's something that destroys. It destroys lives, it destroys people, it's not needed, nobody wants it, and that keeps the Beit HaMikdash destroyed. If we want to go back, if we want to see things clear, if we want to have something with such a clarity, and it's not enough just to learn about it, you got to act on it, you really have to act on it. There was a rich man, we'll end with this story, there was a rich man who used to learn with the Beav, the Bayit Chadash. He's on the side of the Shulchan Aruch. A rich man used to learn with him Hilchot Tzedakah. And one day, after they learned together, the rabbi, said to the rich man, the innkeeper over here, his lease is up, and the non-Jewish owner, what they call the parrots in every single third grade Rabbi story, the rich owner, so he's not sure if he wants to renew the lease because the innkeeper can only pay him once a year for everything. that's their agreement. He wants to get something more monthly. But I know that you have sway with the people here in the community. Could you go up to the man who owns it, to the non-Jew, and just convince him, let the innkeeper stay, let the innkeeper have his parnassah, just leave him be. The rich man said, of course I will. He goes, he leaves the bar, and he's about to go out, and the innkeeper comes up, and he said, did the Rebbe speak to you? Because he's like, yeah, he spoke to me. He said, well, listen, I have this fair, I have this thing, I go to sell stuff or whatever it is, and it's in a few towns over, and according to whatever my calculations, I have to leave now. So when I get back in a few days, I'll be back in a week or whatever it is, I'll come back and I'll speak to the owner then, we'll have the whole thing sorted out. And the guy said, look, the lease is over in a day or two. I don't know, he may give it to somebody else. He might say, no, I'm telling you. And the rich man said to him, have bitachon, Hashem will take care of you. And the rich man was a very persuasive guy, and he convinced the innkeeper, have bitachon. And the innkeeper actually felt good. He said, okay, yeah, I will have you. Right, I will have, where's my bitachon? Where's my emunah? So the rich man goes off to the fair. And now, open up your hearts, the innkeeper comes home to his wife. You can have as much bitachon as you want. But when you come home, and he came home smiling even. He came home thinking he did something good. He comes to walk again, and she said, no, so is the rich guy going to speak to the king? He said, don't worry. I spoke to the rich guy who spoke to the rabbi. And he said he's going off to Leipzig to go to the have bitachon. They're going to come home in a week. And she said, are you insane? It's like, what? He's like, he's going to sell the place to somebody else. Bitachon him, bitachon her. He's going to, and she started, you idiot, you should have. And he started yelling at her. And they had like such fun. The guy comes back after a week, and sure enough, the non-Jewish owner didn't even think about the inn. It wasn't even on his to-do list. And the rich guy comes back, and he speaks to the non-Jewish owner, and the non-Jewish owner says, yeah, they can keep the inn, it's fine, we'll keep the same thing. Baruch Hashem, they're able to keep the inn. This rich man died some years later. The Beav, again, this isn't like just some highfalutin story. This is the Bayit Chadash. He's on the side of the Shulchan Aruch, and he wrote, the Beav wrote, that this rich man came to me in a dream. The rich man said to me, I was on my way up to Olam Haba. I'm going up to Gan Eden. I'm on my way up, and Baruch Hashem, I had no Averot left. They took care of me in this world for Averot, whatever hardships I had in this world. I was going up, and I'm ready to go into Gan Eden, to go up and to connect to Hashem. And there was one big malach, he said a beautiful malach, a positive malach, a gorgeous malach, a malach of mitzvah, standing in my way. And the malach said to me, I'm the malach that was made when you spoke to that non-Jewish owner to help the guy out in the inn. And he said, okay. He's like, and I'm a mitzvah malach. He said, okay, good, that's a good thing. He said, but there's just one problem. He said, I was created a week too late. And for 1 week, you caused shalom bayit to somebody else. For 1 week, you made that wife feel that maybe she won't be able to pay her rent, and she won't be able to have the inn, and she won't be able to. For 1 week, you caused such hardship to that family. Shemayim said, it wasn't like a black and white Averah, there's no Gehinam, Chas v'Shalom, but Shemayim decided, you made them wait a week, you, my friend, are waiting a week. You're going to stand out of Gan Eden, and you're going to give a look, and you're going to be jealous, and you're going to sit here for a week because you made it right. He said to the Beav in the dream, I can't tell you the pain and suffering I'm going through just in this waiting period now. And that was somebody who did something positive. And he just pushed it off for a few days. Rabotai, if we really want Mashiach, and if this is the most important fast ever, when we're sitting inside the pain of the fast, we need to sit and think, how am I changing my outlook? How am I making an ayin tova? How am I going out to be positive and to help people? We do that. We change our outlook. So then the whole reason why we're sitting sad is because we don't have the correct outlook anymore. We don't see the miracles anymore. Our she'ifot are like the goyim right now. But if we change our outlook, we change a she'ifot by remembering Yerushalayim, by remembering what's real, then Bezrat Hashem, very soon we'll have Mashiach in our times from here. Amen. Amen.